Nikola Tesla standing there with this old farmer, where he's running his whole farm on this device where he has stakes in the ground.
What if the most powerful secrets of our universe were hidden in the handwritten notes of a man long dismissed as a mad genius? When Google's cutting-edge quantum AI got its hands on Nikola Tesla's long-lost diaries, it decoded something no one expected: blueprints for energy systems, strange frequencies matching modern anomalies, and a weapon so advanced it could rewrite global power. What did Tesla really discover? And why was it hidden for over a century? What the AI revealed was more than just shocking. It was chilling. The seizure and secrecy of Tesla's archives. When Nikola Tesla died on January 7, 1943, in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel, his passing marked the end of a brilliant yet troubled life. Despite his groundbreaking contributions to modern science and technology, Tesla died penniless, isolated, and increasingly paranoid. In his final years, he became obsessed with secrecy, convinced that foreign agents and government spies were after his most powerful invention, what he described as a death ray capable of ending all wars. His fears, once dismissed as eccentric ramblings, suddenly took on new weight when authorities arrived at his room following his death. Almost immediately after Tesla's death, his belongings were seized by the United States Office of Alien Property. Although Tesla had been a naturalized U.S. citizen since 1891, the government treated his possessions as if they belonged to a foreign national. Trunks filled with scientific papers, engineering blueprints, and personal diaries were taken into federal custody. This action ignited one of the most mysterious chapters in modern scientific history. Among the items reportedly seized was a black notebook marked Government, which was later claimed to have contained some of Tesla's most advanced and dangerous ideas. Tesla's nephew, Sava Kosanović, a Yugoslav diplomat, arrived in New York shortly after the inventor's death. He discovered that many of Tesla's personal effects had already been taken. Kosanović later reported that several important documents were missing and expressed concern that these materials had been hidden from public view. The U.S. government claimed the seizure was routine, aimed at cataloging and safeguarding materials until rightful ownership could be determined. But the circumstances suggested something far more calculated. Tesla's long-standing interest in wireless energy transmission, beam weapons, and vacuum energy extraction had caught the attention of intelligence officials and military agencies. The FBI's involvement added further intrigue. Under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, the Bureau opened a file on Tesla, despite having previously shown little interest in his work. Hoover ordered a full investigation into Tesla's documents, and an expert was brought in to assess their significance. That expert was Dr. John G. Trump, a respected physicist from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and uncle of future President Donald Trump. After reviewing Tesla's later writings, Dr. Trump concluded that they contained speculative, philosophical ideas with limited practical value. However, many historians and researchers now question the validity of that assessment. Despite Dr. Trump's dismissive report, the government kept most of Tesla's papers under wraps for decades. In 2016, more than 70 years after Tesla's death, the FBI finally declassified approximately 250 pages of his documents. While these pages included some fascinating insights into Tesla's theories, inventions, and correspondence, they represented only a small fraction of his total output. Estimates suggest Tesla produced thousands of pages of research over his lifetime, much of which remains missing or classified. This selective release fueled widespread speculation. Why would a supposedly unimportant collection of papers be kept hidden for so long? The secrecy surrounding Tesla's archives led many to believe that the government had something to hide. Researchers have long suspected that the missing documents contain information about highly advanced technologies, concepts far ahead of their time, including directed energy weapons, ambient energy collection, and global wireless power systems. Over the years, several projects and investigators have attempted to track down the missing pieces of Tesla's legacy. Some believe that private collectors or government agencies still hold these documents. Others suggest that the materials were destroyed to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. In either case, the result has been a significant gap in the historical record. Tesla's full scientific vision remains incomplete and shrouded in mystery. Modern interest in Tesla's work has only grown with the advancement of technology. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and field theory are now being used to re-examine Tesla's known documents. Analysts point out that his writings often used unconventional terminology and metaphors, which may have masked real technical breakthroughs. His references to ether, radiant energy, and non-Hertzian waves are now being revisited through the lens of contemporary science, revealing ideas that may align with modern quantum and field theories. The secrecy surrounding Tesla's archives continues to raise questions. Was it simple bureaucratic caution, or was there a deliberate effort to suppress ideas that could destabilize existing power structures? The lack of transparency and the slow pace of declassification keep the mystery alive. What remains clear is that Nikola Tesla left behind more than unfinished inventions. He left behind a legacy filled with unanswered questions and untapped possibilities. For decades, the secrets buried in Tesla's confiscated notes remained locked away, too advanced to understand, or perhaps too dangerous to reveal. But that changed when Google's Willow quantum processor came online, unlocking a level of computational power the world had never seen. Introducing Google's Willow Quantum AI. In December 2024, the world of computing experienced a major breakthrough when Google unveiled its Willow quantum processor. At the heart of this advancement is a 72-qubit superconducting chip, a technological marvel capable of solving problems so complex that even the most powerful classical supercomputers would take billions of years to complete them. This was not just a speed improvement. Willow marked the beginning of a new era where previously unsolvable problems could finally be addressed using quantum principles. Willow's unveiling was accompanied by technical presentations and scientific papers, highlighting its ability to maintain qubit stability and reduce errors significantly. But what made headlines was not just the hardware, it was what this machine could do. Willow demonstrated a leap in quantum error correction, coherence time, and circuit depth, allowing it to carry out extremely complex quantum simulations that were far beyond the reach of classical methods. The significance of this advancement was immediately clear to physicists, engineers, and researchers across the globe. What remained hidden from the public at the time, however, was how Google's quantum AI team was already applying Willow to a unique and highly confidential project, decoding the long-lost writings of Nikola Tesla. For decades, Tesla's scientific legacy had been fragmented, with thousands of pages missing, classified, or misunderstood. The work he left behind was often filled with incomplete formulas, metaphors drawn from multiple languages, and diagrams too complex to evaluate with traditional tools. Willow offered something radically different. It provided a computational intelligence capable of handling nonlinear systems, interpreting ambiguous notations, and simulating experimental results in a virtual environment. Quantum computing works in a fundamentally different way than classical computing. Where classical bits are either 0 or 1, quantum bits or qubits can exist in a superposition of both states simultaneously. This means that a quantum computer like Willow can evaluate many possibilities at once. It is not limited by linear logic or the time-consuming step-by-step processing of traditional machines. This makes it ideal for examining complex physical systems, solving interdependent equations, and analyzing large datasets full of subtle patterns. Exactly the kind of problems Tesla's writings present. Tesla's notes are filled with what modern scientists now recognize as early explorations of resonance, harmonics, energy fields, and wave behavior. However, these topics were far ahead of his time and were often misunderstood or ignored by his peers. Many of his equations were left incomplete, his concepts loosely sketched, and his terminology inconsistent. Willow's strength lay in its ability to analyze these fragments not just mathematically, but contextually. It was designed to model and explore multiple solutions in parallel, identifying which sets of assumptions and parameters made Tesla's ideas internally consistent and physically meaningful. One of the earliest breakthroughs came when Willow was tasked with solving a group of non-linear equations related to energy amplification and wireless power transfer. These formulas had baffled physicists for decades. Willow evaluated millions of potential configurations simultaneously and discovered a coherent solution that matched Tesla's original claims. It confirmed that the system Tesla described could, under certain resonant conditions, produce localized energy densities high enough to transmit electricity wirelessly over vast distances. Willow's simulations allowed researchers to virtually build Tesla's devices, testing how they would perform under various electromagnetic and quantum field conditions. This would have been impossible using classical simulations, which would require excessive time and resources to achieve the same level of accuracy. But with Willow, the system could run detailed quantum electromagnetic models in just minutes. But among all the breakthroughs Willow unlocked, one stood out above the rest: the ultimate amplifier. What the AI uncovered when it completed Tesla's unfinished equations would challenge the very limits of modern physics. Reconstructing Tesla's ultimate amplifier. Among the many fragments found in Nikola Tesla's recovered notebooks, one reference appeared more than once in cryptic form, something he called the ultimate amplifier. The phrase was never fully explained, and the technical details were scattered across pages written in different languages and varying notations. For decades, this idea remained little more than a mystery. But when Google's Willow quantum processor was tasked with analyzing and reconstructing Tesla's fragmented equations, it began to take shape. Tesla's notes included numerous references to energy interactions. However, much of the math was incomplete, non-linear, or written in formats that traditional computers struggled to interpret. These complexities made it nearly impossible for previous generations of researchers to fully grasp what Tesla had been working toward. But Willow's architecture allowed it to process countless possible solutions at once. This capability, combined with its quantum field simulation tools, made it the perfect system to reassemble Tesla's most complex and forward-looking ideas. By feeding Tesla's incomplete equations into the quantum system, Willow was able to test millions of variations simultaneously. Patterns began to emerge. Resonance charts, field strength equations, and frequency mappings that had long seemed unrelated were now revealing a consistent framework. What emerged was not just a clearer picture of Tesla's theories. It was a complete mathematical model for a device designed to manipulate energy on an entirely new level. The reconstructed design of Tesla's ultimate amplifier showed a system that could concentrate energy densities to unprecedented levels. By using a combination of tuned resonance chambers, specific coil geometries, and finely controlled electromagnetic fields, the device focused energy into tight, highly charged zones. Unlike traditional amplifiers, which boost electrical signals in linear fashion, this device worked with field interactions, harmonics, and nonlinear effects that created self-reinforcing energy loops. These loops magnified energy within a closed space, generating outputs many times greater than the input levels. This was not perpetual motion or violation of conservation laws. Instead, it involved drawing energy from surrounding fields, possibly even tapping into the vacuum fluctuations of space itself. Tesla hinted at this possibility in his writings, often referring to what he called radiant energy. Willow's quantum analysis provided the first coherent model showing how such energy concentration might actually work in practice. Even more remarkable was how this model echoed the principles of modern quantum field theory. Tesla lived long before quantum mechanics was formally developed. Yet, the amplifier's design incorporated concepts that today's physicists associate with quantum resonance, field coupling, and energy localization. The mathematical structure of the amplifier showed similarities to modern ideas about zero-point energy and vacuum field dynamics. In some areas, Tesla's hand-drawn schematics even mirrored field configurations now studied in high-energy physics. Dr. Elena Markov, a physicist at MIT who reviewed the results, commented that Tesla appeared to be working with ideas decades ahead of their time. According to her, the amplifier design represented an intuitive grasp of quantum field behavior using only the tools and language available in the early 20th century. What Tesla lacked in formal quantum terminology, he compensated for with remarkable insight and experimental intuition. The implications of this discovery extend beyond historical interest. If Tesla's amplifier can be physically constructed based on the newly completed equations, it could serve as the foundation for a new class of energy devices. Such technology might enable wireless power transfer on a scale never before imagined or allow for extremely efficient field-based propulsion systems. It could also lead to breakthroughs in signal amplification, energy harvesting, and materials research. Willow's reconstruction of the amplifier also redefines how we understand Tesla himself. Long considered a misunderstood genius or a brilliant eccentric, Tesla is now emerging as a figure who anticipated entire branches of science well before they were formally developed. His ultimate amplifier is more than just a lost invention. It is a symbol of how far his vision extended and how close we may be to finally catching up. The amplifier opened the door to something even more ambitious. Let's now explore how Tesla's amplifier led to an even bolder idea, transmitting power across the globe using mysterious waves that modern science still struggles to explain. Scalar waves and global power transmission. Tesla believed that energy could be transferred through the Earth itself without the use of wires, by using specific frequencies and resonant systems. While many of his contemporaries dismissed this notion as impossible or impractical, recent advances in quantum simulation have brought new attention to Tesla's theories, particularly his work on non-Hertzian waves, now often described as scalar waves. Unlike standard electromagnetic radiation that follows the inverse square law, scalar waves do not weaken over distance in the same way. Traditional electromagnetic waves lose strength the farther they travel, but Tesla described a type of wave that could retain its energy across great distances, even transmitting power directly through the Earth. These waves, which he called longitudinal or etheric waves, were a major part of his Colorado Springs experiments in the late 1890s. Tesla's magnifying transmitter was at the heart of this vision. It was not just a larger version of his Tesla coil, but a highly tuned device meant to generate powerful resonant fields. The transmitter worked by inducing specific frequencies into the Earth, hoping to create standing waves that would circle the globe. Tesla believed that by matching the Earth's own natural frequency, energy could be transmitted with very little loss, reaching receivers located anywhere on the planet. For many years, these ideas were dismissed due to a lack of experimental evidence and the complexity of Tesla's explanations. However, Google's quantum AI project, using the Willow processor, created detailed virtual simulations of the magnifying transmitter based precisely on Tesla's notes and sketches. These simulations incorporated not just classical electromagnetic theory, but also quantum field interactions. What emerged from these tests was extraordinary. When simulated at Tesla's specified frequencies, the magnifying transmitter began to generate harmonic field patterns that traditional physics could not easily explain. These included longitudinal waveforms that did not radiate outward like normal radio waves, but instead formed standing waves along specific earthbound pathways. The simulations showed energy coupling effects between distant points on the Earth's surface, suggesting that Tesla's device was indeed designed to use the planet itself as a conductor for power. The concept of scalar waves had long remained on the fringe of scientific discussion. Yet the simulation results revealed field structures consistent with Tesla's descriptions and matching his resonance charts. These field lines did not fade with distance and were unaffected by obstacles that would normally block or distort electromagnetic waves. This confirmed the theoretical possibility of a power transmission system that worked across vast distances without relying on power lines, satellites, or relay stations. The idea of a global wireless energy network using Earth resonance as its foundation was one of Tesla's most ambitious dreams. He envisioned a world where energy could be transmitted freely, from centralized stations to homes, factories, and vehicles around the globe. The implications of such a system would be massive. It could eliminate the need for batteries, reduce dependency on fossil fuels, and provide clean power to remote or underserved regions. The virtual reconstruction of the magnifying transmitter now serves as a blueprint for what Tesla imagined over a century ago. Each coil, capacitor, and frequency was modeled with precision, showing how the device might actually function if built using today's technology. More importantly, it demonstrated that Tesla's theories about resonance and wave behavior were not fantasy. They were based on deep observations of nature and intuitive understanding of energy flow, insights that modern physics is only now beginning to appreciate. Scalar wave energy transmission remains a controversial topic, but Tesla's work is once again challenging conventional wisdom. Thanks to quantum computing, what once seemed impossible now appears increasingly plausible. The Earth may truly be a conductor waiting to be tuned, and Tesla may have been the first to hear its hidden song. As Tesla's technical papers were gradually analyzed through the lens of quantum AI, one particular section stood apart from the rest: his personal diaries. Let's tell you about that and the hidden code no one saw coming. Multilingual encryption in Tesla's diaries. These handwritten journals had long confused historians and scientists alike. Unlike his engineering sketches and lab notebooks, Tesla's diaries were filled with poetic language, personal thoughts, and cryptic metaphors written in an unpredictable mix of Serbian, French, German, and English. For decades, researchers assumed these passages were simply the eccentric musings of a brilliant but aging inventor. But they were wrong. Using Google's Willow quantum processor, researchers applied an advanced natural language model designed to work alongside quantum simulations. This allowed the AI to process the diaries not just as text, but as complex interwoven puzzles that needed context, pattern recognition, and multilingual translation to fully interpret. What emerged from this analysis was astonishing. Tesla's diary entries were not poetic nonsense. They were an intricate form of encryption. The AI began linking certain words and phrases across languages to physical principles found in Tesla's lab work. For instance, a recurring metaphor in his Serbian notes referred to the shaking of invisible threads, while a matching phrase in French described the silent symphony between light and emptiness. These poetic images were eventually cross-referenced with a precise term that appeared repeatedly in his technical drawings, what Tesla called the handshake of the ether. This seemingly abstract phrase turned out to be key. When analyzed in the context of Tesla's resonance charts and electromagnetic notes, the handshake of the ether described a specific condition. It pointed to a precise threshold of rotational energy within a given electromagnetic field configuration. According to the AI's reconstruction, this phrase referred to the point at which a system could tap into what we now call vacuum energy or zero-point energy, the subtle background fluctuations of energy present even in empty space. Tesla did not have the modern vocabulary to explain these quantum phenomena, but he grasped the physical implications intuitively. By embedding the instructions in multilingual poetic language, Tesla shielded his most radical ideas from discovery. It would take a machine capable of interpreting tone, meaning, symbolism, and scientific notation simultaneously to unravel it all. Willow was that machine. The AI identified additional examples of this encryption method. In one case, Serbian metaphors about the whispering fireflies of the dark sky were shown to describe specific frequency alignments in field generation. In another, a German phrase referencing the second mirror behind the curtain was decoded as a pointer to phase shift adjustments in Tesla's wireless power apparatus. Taken together, these examples revealed that Tesla had used his diary not just as a record of thoughts, but as a protected vault for revolutionary instructions. One of the most stunning revelations came when the AI combined fragments from all 4 languages into a single unified protocol. When the translated instructions were compared with Tesla's resonance logs, a perfect match was found. The frequency range, coil geometry, and field configuration described in his poetic metaphors were the same as those used in his energy extraction experiments in Colorado Springs. As the AI decoded more of Tesla's encrypted insights, a new pattern began to emerge, one that connected his century-old experiments with unexplained signals and anomalies observed by modern science. Alignments with modern physics. Anomalies. Among the most surprising revelations was the remarkable alignment between Tesla's recorded resonance frequencies and data collected from recent experiments at the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, also known as LIGO. Between the years 2020 and 2024, LIGO detected a series of gravitational microwave signals that researchers have not yet been able to fully explain. These subtle disturbances in spacetime were noted as anomalies, with no immediate connection to known celestial events or theoretical models. When Tesla's original resonance charts were processed by Google's Willow quantum AI, an astonishing correlation was discovered. Frequencies Tesla meticulously recorded in the 1890s matched almost exactly with the strange microwaves picked up by LIGO more than a century later. According to experts reviewing the findings, the probability of this alignment occurring by coincidence is virtually zero. Dr. Michael Chen, an astrophysicist at Caltech, stated that either Tesla detected the same hidden forces we are only now beginning to measure, or he predicted them with unexplainable accuracy using what would today be considered primitive equipment. Tesla's notes consistently referenced specific frequency ranges and described what he called nodal points in the ether. While the term ether was abandoned by mainstream physics in the early 20th century, Tesla continued to use it to describe an invisible medium that transmitted energy and force. Modern physics now explores concepts such as the quantum vacuum and space-time fabric, which are surprisingly similar in nature to what Tesla described. The idea of nodal points in this medium closely resembles today's theoretical discussions of localized energy concentrations or field interactions in quantum field theory. Even more intriguing, was the AI's discovery that Tesla may have documented phenomena resembling fast radio bursts more than a century before they were officially discovered. First observed by modern astronomers in 2007, fast radio bursts are short, intense flashes of radio waves originating from distant galaxies. Their exact causes remain unknown. Tesla, in his Colorado Springs experiments in 1899, reported receiving unusual signals that he believed were not of natural origin. At the time, these claims were met with skepticism and even ridicule. However, Tesla kept detailed records of the frequencies and timing of these bursts. When his logs were analyzed by the quantum AI and compared to known fast radio burst data, there was a striking match. Some of the frequencies Tesla recorded mirrored the same ranges that have been recently detected by radio telescopes. This alignment adds credibility to the idea that Tesla may have intercepted cosmic signals that science would not officially recognize for over 100 years. Tesla also wrote about receiving what he called messages from another world. While this was long interpreted as either delusion or misinterpretation, the frequency overlap and timing described in his notes now raise the possibility that he was detecting genuine astronomical phenomena. These discoveries have encouraged modern researchers to reevaluate Tesla's data in the context of present-day astrophysics. What makes these alignments so compelling is that they were found through independent analysis of Tesla's notes and unrelated modern data. No effort was made to force a connection. The correlations emerged naturally once Tesla's frequencies and field descriptions were fed into the quantum processor. These findings suggest that Tesla's intuition and experimental observations were far ahead of their time. He may have been sensing physical effects tied to quantum vacuum structures or higher dimensional field behaviors, concepts that only now are entering serious scientific discussion. Let's now turn to the most unsettling part of Tesla's rediscovered work: blueprints for advanced weapons and technologies that could reshape the future of warfare and global power. Weaponization and implications for future tech. Among the most chilling discoveries made by the AI was the full conceptualization of Tesla's long-rumored weapon, which he called Teleforce. Often dismissed as science fiction, Teleforce was Tesla's idea of a directed energy weapon, one that could use a focused particle beam to destroy targets hundreds of miles away. Tesla claimed it could bring down fleets of aircraft from as far as 250 miles without leaving a trace or giving any warning. For decades, this concept remained theoretical. But the AI analysis of Tesla's scattered notes painted a very different picture. By reconstructing Tesla's fragmented equations and technical sketches, the AI was able to infer detailed designs that modern physicists found both sophisticated and highly practical. These designs showed how charged particles could be focused through electromagnetic fields to deliver powerful energy strikes with extreme precision. What makes these reconstructed plans truly alarming is that they bypass many of the limitations found in current particle accelerator technology. Tesla's configuration suggested a compact system that could theoretically be mounted on a mobile platform, far smaller and more adaptable than anything developed in current defense programs. Such a weapon, if realized, could render existing missile defense systems and even nuclear deterrence obsolete. It would be nearly impossible to detect or intercept a beam of energy moving at near-light speed, and the absence of explosive material would make the weapon nearly invisible until activated. These implications alone raise serious concerns about the future balance of global military power. But Tesla's recovered work does not stop at weaponization. The same principles that allow for directed energy attacks also support peaceful applications with world-changing potential. His notes include refined designs for wireless energy transmission systems, suggesting a future where power grids could be replaced with atmospheric or Earth-resonant delivery. Other documents imply the possibility of vacuum energy extraction, tapping into the ambient energy of space itself to provide limitless power. Tesla's encryption methods also hint at advances in secure communication. Some researchers suggest that if his resonance-based encryption ideas are fully understood, they could lead to forms of unbreakable communication networks. Whether for peace or war, Tesla's rediscovered legacy points to a future shaped by ideas that were decades, if not centuries, ahead of their time. What do you think? Was Tesla truly unlocking the secrets of limitless energy and unstoppable weapons? Or are we only beginning to grasp the depth of his vision? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you believe Tesla was really trying to leave behind.